Hello again. Welcome back to this second video in the series of how I intend to design, install, commission and learn from how to run a waste oil heater in my shed. However, before I get stuck into this video, I ended the first video with a safety warning, and I'd like to start this video with a safety warning from Robert Norden that I came across while researching.
I'm just want to let a few people know that it may not look like I know what I'm doing, but we are very safety conscious. We look out for stupid things that might go wrong rather than just, oh, let's set fire to this and see what happens. So just other people who's going to try this oil burning thing, be careful. Simple as that. Just be careful, because it'll hurt you.
An important message there. Let's move on to what we concluded at the end of the first video. Basically, I said I was going to use a pot burner with a hole, a center gap in the middle, using an updraft system. The center cap will have slits or holes to encourage vortexing. The drip feed system was going to be using a funnel, basically for ease of use in construction. So now we come to the crux of this video. What about the heater, stove, boiler, furnace, or whatever one wants to call it? There's loads of options out there. And I've just got a montage of a couple of designs that are available on YouTube. All the links for these are available in the comments box. But if you look at them, there's loads of variances, there are different amounts of fabrication that's required for them, and some of these are just works of art. It must have taken many, many hours of hard work to build them. Now that's all well and good if you have a full fitted out workshop and years of fabrication experience under your belt, as family DIY more than adequately demonstrates here. Just look at the toys. I'd love half of what he's got. So while there are loads of other systems available, another example here from Ruster's Gold, another one from Anchor Designs, further one from Gearhead Life, Indie Farm Life, and Randy DIY. While I have some of the tools and fabrication experience, classic cars excluded, the route taken by fix it, make it here with nuts, bolts and rivets, etc. is probably a quicker solution and just as effective in heating my shed. However, I do want to look at the possibility of converting existing boilers or a stove, heating appliance, wood burner as another option. One obvious advantage of this approach is that the fabrication time is greatly reduced and you don't need all the construction tools like the welders, plasma cutters, bending press, etc., etc. So in this video from Fuel Injection Sucks, he clearly shows a converted heater. I'd assume it's a solid fuel heater with the burner as designed by Jerry DIY. So let's go back to Jerry then. And this clip, he's going to take us through the wood burner that he's converted to run on the waste engine oil.
All of this is temporary for me, all of it. So I'll just show you. Okay, so we had one firing of this yesterday, and that video's up on YouTube. It's live at the moment. Okay, so these are just bends on the pipe.
It's interesting what he says at the beginning of this clip, that it's temporary, it's reversible. Therefore, by removing the fuel pipes and the burner, I assume this will work again as a wood burner.
I put in a couple of plates, okay, just so you can see the setup in close. So these plates are just metal I had in there. Right, and their sole function is just to force all the air for combustion up through here. Okay, so I've showed this burner a few times. This is my own design. It works really, really well. Very easy to make and cheap as chips.
Jerry DIY has a lot more information on his website about how to make the burner. I want to go back to Mesmo Engineering. I covered him in the first video, but now it's really quite relevant as to his design for the conversion of a wood burner.
Anyway, just looking at my design, there's the burner. It's got the air intake from the bottom, so all air has to go through this little burner. And there's the oil feed, goes into the bottom of this pan.
I'll let the video run on. He's just showing more details around the burner, which I covered in the first video. But I think I pretty much made up my mind what I'm going to do, and it's going to be a wood burner conversion. So now I've made a decision about the wood burner conversion. The second part of this video is to assess how to get the heat into the shed. Now, I think I mentioned earlier that I've got underfloor heating and I've also got second-hand radiators. So I'm just going to have a look on the internet and see what ideas there are to reinforce what I'm looking to do. This is the boiler or the wood burner coming up to an indirect cylinder, which is what I'm looking to do. The hot water, if you like, from the indirect cylinder will then come down and feed the underfloor heating. And I'm thinking on the return line back to the wood burner, put a radiator. This isn't a particularly good clear drawing, but if you take the basic boxes, if you like, it'll help explain my point. So again, we've got the wood burner and we've got an indirect water cylinder. What's good here is you can see they have a gravity radiator here, which is good. On the return line coming back to the boiler. But again, the slight difference here is they're looking to take the hot water feed for the domestic hot water supply, which I don't want to use. I'm going to be using that for the underfloor heater. Now, what I don't know about is the pump. I'll show a couple more sketches that I've taken off the internet, and a lot of them are showing the pump. So I'm a bit concerned as to whether I need a pump or not. This is pretty close to what I'm looking to do. The stove, I'm not sure of the size of my stove yet. Coming up to an indirect cylinder. There's the radiators on the side, coming back through another radiator and the return line back to the stove. But I see here there is a pumped radiator circuit and there's the pump. So I really need to understand whether I do or do not need a pump for, in essence, this that I want to be a gravity-fed system. This is the design I'm thinking of going with. So I've got two completely separate systems, the gravity feed system and the underfloor heating system. The intent with the gravity feed system is that the wood burner will feed the indirect hot water cylinder, and the return line will come down to radiators before going back into the wood burner. I don't know whether I'll need a pump, so I will allow for a pump to go in this location as part of the feed. And again, I have two large radiators, so if, say, they're 2 kilowatt radiators each, that's 4 kilowatt. If this is a 6 kilowatt system, will that be enough heat sink so that if, for example, this is satisfied and there's enough hot water and the water coming down going through the radiators is going to carry on flowing and not cause a problem for the boiler, i.e. it overheats. So the underfloor heating side will take its hot water feed from the water cylinder and come down into the underfloor heating system through a mixer valve. Now, I've also allowed for a radiator here. This can be isolated, shut off, but the underfloor heating, for example, as you know, the water coming out of here could be as much as 85 degrees C, and the underfloor heating uses a maximum of 35-40 degrees C. So I could drop the water temperature by putting it through a radiator before it goes into the mixer valve. Valve isolation will allow me to play with that. So yeah, I think this is what I'm going to go with. So I've decided to go with the converted wood burning stove. Jerry's here was absolutely brilliant. One or two things I'd like to improve upon here is where the line goes into the bottom door. You've got that open, so in my uneducated opinion, I think you've lost a little bit of control with the forced air going through. If you want to shut it down, you can't because the line is there. However, it's also 100% reversible, which is great. I've covered Mesmo engineering quite a few times in these videos. I just enjoy his designs, and his workmanship is phenomenal. I like the drip feed that he's got here into the funnel, which I covered in the first video, and he's done a wood burner conversion as well. So I really think, as I've said, I'm going to go and follow this route. The smoke here is because he didn't allow enough air to come through, but in this next 30 seconds, you'll see that he's opening up the veins on his burner to increase the airflow. One thing that Mesmo Engineering I wasn't overly keen about is he's drilled a hole in the side of his wood burner. I'd like to try and find a system how not to do that. So the wood burner is undamaged and totally reversible, like with Jerry DIYs. So that's it, folks. Thank you very much for listening. And in the third video, hopefully I'll show you some of the construction.